you want to learn how to make this 3D ribbon effect, then watch all the way to the end to get all the secret sauce that I'm dropping. Let's get straight into After Effects. Alright, now into After Effects. So you can create a new comp. Doesn't really matter what you want to choose here. Just make sure you're above or at 30 frames per second for smooth animation. Now, let me push over my time thing that you can see that. Alright, so I always like to start with the background to just get the right feeling for the ad and for the setting in general. So let's do just maybe a light gray here. I mean, we can change that later, it doesn't really matter. And now what we're going to do, or the key for these 3D strokes, is to use the 2D stroke tool and then extrude that. So I'm going to show you the principle and then we'll apply it firsthand at the example shown in the intro. So you're going to make some sort of graph or some sort of stroke, doesn't matter. Then you're going to turn it into 3D. I mean, color wise we can do whatever we want, obviously. I'll just choose the green for the Starbucks one right away, and then we go into the controls. We've already marked this as a 3D layer, so we'll have the geometry options here. We'll increase the extrusion depth, and now this is, well, maybe that was too much. This is our first 3D stroke. Now we can rotate that, obviously, but this is the rough principle. This is how I always did that, and this is what we're going to work with. Now, what we're going to do first is to import our 3D model. Obviously, in my case, it was the Starbucks cup, but you can choose obviously any 3D model that you like from the internet. Alright, now once you import it, obviously adjust the thing here because that's just easier to work with than later. And now we're going to press this while holding Command and double click. So we'll center our anchor point, put that into the middle roughly. And now, as I've already said in my previous tutorials, if you haven't watched those, make sure to watch them on my page. Go into the 2-view option if you work in 3D. And because here the controls are much better, so we're going to put that or place that a little bit here, maybe toss it around, but I mean, this is individual. All right, and now we're going to have to think about where and how to place these 3D strokes. The difficult thing about this is that you have to draw them out here, but you already have to think about how this will look in 3D space once they are rotated. So this will require a lot of trying out, but I mean, we have the time, so let's go for it. So the first one, I want to maybe start like this and then go far behind the coffee cup. Yeah, maybe something like this. All right, now let's try this. Put this in 3D, and here under the geometry options, extrude that. We'll mess around with that later. And now we're going to put that in place, and I wanted to do this a little bit like maybe this, but for aligning this, again, go into your 2-view and the custom view, because then you can turn it around much better and actually put the rotation however it fits best. All right, not too bad. Now obviously that's, in my opinion, too much. Yeah, that's cool. And you can now duplicate or replicate, I should say. First of all, if you don't like how it's bending, you can just click on it, put on the pen tool and go into the individual points, and now you can still rework that afterwards, so no worries there. And now your creative freedom is asked, because obviously now you have the choice is yours. However you want to put these, maybe you want to do a double stack. But I mean, this is something that you have to figure out for yourself. You can obviously take inspiration from my work, but you can also do your own stuff, which I always recommend, so that you are improving. So let's just mess around with that a little bit, and I'll see you guys in a minute once I've finished my whole scene setup. Alright, this is just a brief setup because obviously you can do whatever you like, and for tutorial's sake, this is enough. Now the next thing that is important here is the animation. Now, in order to do that, we're going to use a tool called Trim Paths, for example. You're going to click into your shape, click on Add, Trim Paths, and what this is going to do basically, with this you can control how far the path is extruded or shown, at least. Especially for the beginning animation, that is quite cool to use. So we're going to make keyframes, and this is going to be a lot of tweaking, and this is going to be a relentless effort, because as you will see, obviously we want it to look like waves. This does not look like waves, right? So what there's some secret sauce. I'll tell you later at the end of the video how to make to do that, but also you'll have to use the position keyframes so that it will sort of slide in there, but not too much. I'll show you how I mean, and then you can see that this will look better a little bit, at least. We can also put in some rotation, but this is subjective, so this is not needed, but it does help. Now I just realized that, for example, here I made a mistake. Yeah, no. So I wanted to basically go from this turn a little bit. Also, always easy ease, and in this case we'll do the same graphs. No, this is not what I wanted. But as you can see, it doesn't work on the first try. You'll have to figure it out yourself. Yeah, we'll fix it later, but this is the way to go, right? So you have some properties that you can animate it with, but the absolute most important thing is to use trim paths for all these things. Now you can either keyframe the end, so it will start on one direction, but for example for this one, if you, let me just show you, if we were to do the end here, it will start here in this beginning here, but maybe we want it to start here. So what we are going to do now is to keyframe put the start to 100 and then keyframe it here, and then it will start from here, and I think this will look better. But obviously this is also something you have to try out. This will not go on the first try. It doesn't for me as well, as you can see. And yeah, this is just trying out as much as you can, and then obviously deciding on the one thing or the one look that you like. We are going to go with this here, that's fine. And maybe as for position, I don't even know if I want to do something regarding position here. We'll try with that, but if not, I'll leave it to it, because, well, no, this looks horrible. Because we will make this, yeah, this is fine. We will make the sort of bubbly wave effect later. And now the same thing for the other two. For the other two, I basically copied the whole thing and made them just overlays, so we can use the same trim path. So we'll only have to do it one time here. Reduce, and maybe we'll put a keyframe for the position here as well. And then I think we are good to go. Yeah, this is fine. And this one, we'll paste this here, maybe delay it a little. No, I don't like that. We also, oh shit. We also need some movement here on the top one, because otherwise it will look bad. So first we're going to push that back here. As you can see, these are simple keyframe works. This is not difficult, but it will pay off, the whole trying out thing. I'll promise you. Nah, this is not how I wanted it to look. Alright, so I think now, yeah, now we're good to go. Alright, this is what we have so far. Obviously that looks quite quite ugly still. What I like to do first now is to fix all the movement, and then we'll go on coloring and whatever, lighting. But now first we'll have to animate this sort of wave effect. And there are two ways to do it here. The more difficult one, or at least it's more work, I guess, you would go into your shape, into your path, and then click the stopwatch here, move a few, for example, a second ahead, and then animate the wave movement, I should say, maybe manually, like this or whatever. And then as you can see, we have some sort of wave movement here. Now, in some cases you have to do it because otherwise it won't work. However, what's easier in this case is to click S and disconnect your scale. And then what we're going to do is make some scale keyframes, roughly 1 second, maybe a little bit more at a time. I mean, you can adjust that afterwards. And now in the beginning we'll have it at this, and then we can push it together here, maybe stuff like this. This is stuff you have to try out yourself. And then okay, let's see how this looks. All right, as you can see here, look at this. Obviously this movement is wrong, that one, but the first few keyframes, they were actually all right. This is not supposed to be that way. This has to go wider again. And obviously for these instances here, now you can say, okay, I don't like that part going there over there. We can make maybe one adjustment on the path. So keyframe the path here, go over here, and then manually adjust it, but only this one time. This will get that natural feeling. Look at this. Now we have that sort of wave, bouncy movement, however you want to call it. Now this also, or obviously should start at the beginning. So we want the shape and the path keyframes, and we will move them in front. All right, not too bad. Look at this. We can work with that. And this same principle we will apply now to all the others. So for example, here in our first one that we created, same principle again. I mean, you can even now I flipped it so you can see it's -100, so this won't work. But sometimes you can just basically copy paste your scale keyframes. At least the now we can go step by step and have the same time stamps, at least roughly. This saves us some time. And now again, you know, look at this, just tweak it, you know. It's your choice, and there's nothing really you can do wrong. If you preview it a couple of times, you're all good. And now let's look how this, let's see how this already looks. Hey, this is not too bad actually. Maybe let's move these a little bit apart, because then we have a different rhythm. This is too long for me, so move that here. All right, yeah, let's look at this. This looks proper. All right, and now we can, this is an instance where we can copy paste that actually. Go into the other one, just Control V, Control C, and then Control V. And maybe we'll have to modify a bit, but I mean, look at this. This looks like a perfectly breathing membrane effect, whatever, however you want to call it. Adjust the timestamps a little bit. And since this layer here on the top is a replica of that, we want to have roughly the same movement and maybe a little bit delayed, so we can just copy paste these again. Paste them here, and then here, just place them a little bit. I feel like this looks quite natural, right? The sort of breathing membrane bouncing effect of these. Now obviously enable motion blur, that gives a little bit more realism. But yeah, the rough structure already stands now. Alright, now regarding lighting. Now, first of all, obviously, all these in the same color, this looks weak. And what we're going to have to do, that it's not that dark, is to make a environment light, so that we can create these shadows, or that will create these shadows. And to get that sort of metallic look that we had in my video, I'm going to show you again what I mean here. That metallic look on the ribbons, we're going to go into our material options, and then we gonna increase this specular shininess a little bit, specular intensity, diffuse maybe a little, because if you crank it up too much, I mean, that looks weak, right? But a little bit, it's fine in my opinion. And now obviously these colors we have to do different. What I also like is to make some see-through. So we're gonna make this white first of all. And now we're going to decrease the opacity. And now, as you can see here, this looks really cool, really see-through. You can adjust the material options here again. This will sell the effect sometimes more, sometimes less. That's always depending on your style or how you feel. Now, since I made this one for Starbucks, they have this sort of, I feel like, brown branding carton looking color in there. So let's try to maybe replicate that a little. No, that's too yellow. Yeah, this is fine. And maybe this one will go with a lighter green. The one that you can that's too much, that you recognize from Starbucks. And this looks quite fine now, right? So obviously there are a few things which you can still do. Since the cup is just a 3D model, you can animate its rotation. For example, you can let it turn around. Oh shit. Let it turn around in this way, and also put a graph here. Oh shit. Put a graph here. And maybe with some different rotations, this will sell more. And now, I mean, this is just adjusting graphs. And now we can pan them all into a null. Make the null obviously 3D. Pan it all except the light to here. And what I did in my video is something like this. I think I zoomed completely in. Do a graph on here as well, but rather an aggressive one. And now you can see the starting points are not visible, so this always is good. Zoom into something if you want to hide something, because the starting points didn't look really clean, but it doesn't really matter now, since obviously look at this. Obviously that graph is not too clean, but I guess for tutorial's sake it's fine. I mean, these are things that you can do manually now. You have to adjust it and put it into how it fits into your video. For example, if we can make these come in maybe later, or however you want to, like however you feel. Let's put this in quarter and look at the animation again. I mean, this is not bad. We have to correlate this, maybe it looks better. But I mean, look at this. This is a simple animation you can do in 20 minutes and it looks pretty cool. Everybody thinks you're a full expert in 3D, but as you can see, it's quite simple. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe to my channel to get notified when I upload a new tutorial about my videos. If you like my content, I would really appreciate that. And yeah, all for me rest to say is Kram out.